Hey, this is Brendan Allen from Comic Con. Today we have a special guest with us talking about a book that he's working on called The Cabinet from Image Comics, coming out on 14 February. This is Jordan Hart. Jordan, good to see you. Good morning. We're all in California, so I can say good morning. I usually have to say good afternoon when we're doing it at this time slot.
Good
How's your day
morning.
going
Thank
today?
you for having me. It's going great. It's pretty soggy outside, but going great in here. Can't complain. Still have
Nice. So I'm
power.
going to get nice. Yes. So yeah, I'm going to give a little a warning here. If my power goes out and my screen goes black, just go ahead and keep talking. It's fine. We've had 6 power outages over the last 2 days, and one of them lasted for 12 hours. So I apologize if I drop, but yeah, you can just go ahead and keep talking. We'll go ahead and post it anyway. All right. So this book is called The Cabinet. It's written by Jordan here and co-written with David Ebeltoff, uh, with the debut of artist Chiara Raimondi. And every book has variant interconnected covers by artist Marguerite Sauvage. It says, in this vibrant, tongue-in-cheek adventure series, atypical teen Avani and Midwestern jock Trent teleport across a post-Cold War landscape to collect bizarre relics. Why? Well, because they need to summon the arcane powers of a resplendent 17th century cabinet to fix a teeny tiny mistake the last time Avani used it, unleashing an ancient evil from its prison and accidentally slaughtering her parents. Wow. Uh, yeah, that is something. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the story and how you guys came up with that? That is a lot of elements all thrown together at once.
Yeah, that is it's a baker's dozen of things going on, I guess you could say, and that's really kind of the mantra of the cabinet. For David and I to always come up with the most absurd things, challenge each other, and then see if we can make it work in the story. Yeah, the story is about Avni, who you said, who her parents were the guardian of this old piece of furniture called the cabinet, which actually exists. They were called cabinet trunks back in the 1600s and 1700s in Europe. And basically, there were like these 4 foot intricate cabinets that had ivory, bone, all types of jewels, gold in it, and they were just full of hidden
Mm.
drawers on the inside, so people could put, you know, keepsakes or whatever. And it was just really a way for really wealthy people to kind of flex. And instead of having a painting on the wall, they're like, look at this 4 foot cabinet full of stuff, So I was at the Getty Museum here in Los Angeles and saw one in person. Immediately knew that there was a story there somehow. I mean, it just looks creepy. It's gorgeous, and the craftsmanship and artistry is awesome, but it just looks very creepy. So I knew there was a story. David and I were trying to figure out, what kind of comic we wanted to write together, and I sent him a picture, and we were really off to the races at that point. So, with that background of what the cabinet trunk is, the story is about Avni Tutzel, who her parents were the guardians because it has a magical power. And the story is that it holds 33 artifacts, and if you sequence those artifacts in those 33 hidden drawers, uh, each different sequence has a different magical outcome. So her parents were guarding it, trying to sequence world peace and use it for the right reasons. But of course, there's a whole insidious army that are out there to use it for the opposite reason, to bring hell onto Earth, basically. So we meet her in issue 1 as a little child who's trying to save the world and sequence it herself. She messes it up, releases the demon that it was holding on the inside, which results in the death of her parents. And then that's really the intro of issue 1. And then the rest of the series is really her as an 18-year-old trying to find all those different relics for the drawers to go back in time and correct that mistake. So a lot of magic. It's an adventure. It's a treasure hunt. These relics that each drawer holds are made out of silver. So it could be anything from a spoon to a tooth filling. It's enchanted silver from the Middle Ages that has been repurposed. So it's a lot of detective work, a lot of adventure quests, and yeah, we just try to make it as fun as possible. And it starts heavy. That intro is heavy, but we got to give her a reason to travel the world looking for these artifacts. So from there, we just really turned it into a supernatural fantasy adventure. And we tried to challenge ourselves to have as much fun and to make each other laugh as much as we can. And that's what really the goal of the story is.
Right. I said Avani, and you just said Avani. Can you pronounce the character's name for me?
Sure, yes, Ovni. It's
Avni.
spelt Avani, but
Okay.
pronounced Ovni. Correct.
So I did read the book, and that was one of the things that was really shocking about it. That instantly like grabs you into this because you see this trauma happening, you see it unfolding. You know that she's got a good intentions, and you see her kind of doing the things, and then this just awful thing happens, and knowing that it is entirely her fault. That's a powerful driving force for a character. And then the cabinet, it's interesting because these cabinets, these things exist. I think the Queen has one of these desks that's made like the Resolute, is it? Or is that the one that they sent to the United States? That you open this drawer and then you turn this and you open this drawer and this clicks open and then around the back this other door opens and stuff. Those things are fascinating, and just the amount of
Yes.
engineering that goes into that thing and the craftsmanship. Because I mean, the tolerance for parts has got to be just non-existent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
eh,
way back then in the Middle Ages, like
mhm.
doing that all by hand. It's even more mind blowing. Yeah, when you think about it.
Absolutely. So this cabinet is a character pretty much in itself. It's kind of like a puzzle TARDIS where you have to find these items, put them in the right place, and then it sends you to the place where you're needed or where you're going or whatever. And again, if you get it in the wrong order or you get the wrong items, all hell breaks loose, which we saw in the first sequence. But then if you get the right stuff, then you're doing this good thing. So it's a neutral character that can go really bad or really good. Like just does the cabinet have a sentience, or is it just strictly based on the things that you put in it?
It's strictly based on the things that you put in it. I will say for now. For now, it does not have a sentience. But yeah, the goal is that as human beings, we all have the ability to be good or bad, to do good things and to do bad things, and that's really what David and I wanted the cabinet to be like make it an unsentient human being with the power to do the right thing and the wrong thing, depending on the situation and the sequence of artifacts in there.
So I mean, it's a tool. It's whoever's wielding it. A hammer, can build a house, or it can conk you in the head. And you're right. So okay, cool.
Yeah. I think
Okay,
I think at WonderCon last year I described it as a medieval infinity gauntlet. That's probably a good way to think about it, like a medieval infinity. Although I love your puzzle TARDIS. I've never heard that before, and I'm definitely going to credit you for that. That's a
nice,
great
nice,
term.
nice. I mean, I watched Doctor Who. It's one of the first things I thought about, though. Is like the TARDIS does have a sentience, but it's that thing where it's going where it's needed, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a very bad thing, and sometimes you can't tell until the end of the stories. Okay, and then the setting for the book, you guys went with the '90s. The '90s are one of my favorite times because I was young and I still had hair, and there was all this really fun pop culture happening, and this techno, because my kids don't believe me that phones used to be plugged into the wall and you had to drop a quarter in when you were out to call
Yep.
your parents, things like that, because the knowledge of the universe is in your hands. So without that technology happening, you have a completely different story. You have, they have different resources that they have to use to do things and stuff like that. Why did you guys pick the '90s for the setting?
Yeah, you kind of touched on it right there. It just makes this all a lot harder when you have to look through a library at a reference book as opposed to just searching on your pocket computer, which is your phone. So it makes the story more fun. It makes the task and the objective much harder. David and I worked on this story for about 5 years, and when we did start working on it, the '80s were really big. Stranger Things was really at its peak, so we knew,
Mm.
we didn't want to do '80s, and we also knew we didn't want to set it in present day. So then we both kind of just decided on early '90s because it was, we thought like the neon bright Saved by the Bell tone
Lisa
of the
Frank.
early '90s. Yeah, Lisa Frank. It's such a great juxtaposition to this baroque, drab, dark wood of the cabinet. And we thought that, like, comics being the visual medium that they are, it's like we wanted to create a little bit of a paradox there, a visual paradox, where it's like we have these super bright settings and then we have this very drab, desaturated, magical character, basically.
And it works really well. And again, I'm partial to the neons and the different colors that come in and stuff like that because those are warm fuzzy memories for me. Um,
Yeah.
but visually, it works really well. Like you said, there's that dichotomy between like the old and the new and the different. the different color schemes and the different kind of, I think there's a little bit of a difference in some of the line work too when it goes to different places and different times. Um, Speaking of the art though, let's talk about Chiara. There's a really interesting story about how you guys found Chiara and how she's part of the team. And this is the debut, right? Like this is the first thing she's done.
Correct. This was her first major comic book. This is her first American comic book. Yeah, so Kiara is a young, they would say up and coming artist, but if you see issue one, she is not. She's here. She's not up and coming. Like she's there. She's on top of the mountain. She's fully formed. She's ready to go.
Nice.
And we knew that to tell this story, we had to find a incredible artist. It's like there's so much detail, there's so much vibrancy, and the character moments are probably the most important. With comics, it's such a compressed medium.
Mhm.
Like you could spend a whole page just showing someone opening a window. You know what I mean? So you have to find an artist that can like say the unsaid through the art,
Mhm.
through their character work. And we knew that was the most important thing. So we found Kiara on Instagram through just a general hashtag search. So if there's any artists listening out there, hashtag your work and like hashtag it uniquely instead of just like obviously do comic artist, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But how we found her was the hashtag page sample. So
Mm.
like that's something I don't think a lot of people would tag. There weren't a ton of tags, and we just found one of her page samples from school that she ended up tagging. And she's Italian. She's in Florence, and we found it, and we're like, holy cow! Like her style is great.
Mhm.
Let's pay her to do a test page. Let's see if she can work the camera, if she can capture those character moments. And knowing that she had never done a major comic before, her artistic ability was insane. But like, you know, how's the layout, how's the composition, how's the camera placement, all that stuff. And she did the test page, and like I was glad I was sitting down because like holy cow, this is we hit the jackpot. I literally texted her, I was like, we if she's in, we just hit the jackpot. And luckily she was in, and her personality and work ethic and attitude just match her incredible talent. And she's just been the best, just a joy to work with. So it's been great.
That's fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of good advice in what you just said right there. First of all, is hashtag your work, show your work. We've got all these social media sites now and things like that, and with we talked a little bit about the change of technology from the '90s till now or whatever. It's like this is a whole new market for everybody, and trying to show your work and trying to get hooked up with things, it's easier and harder at the same time because of the way that social media works. So great advice right there. So from Instagram hashtags, you guys were just looking, you found her. She is amazing. Now I'm interested because she's so well formed, like what she's done in Italy, because this is her US debut doing comics, her
Yeah.
comics debut, but I would like to see some of her other work too based on what I saw in the comic there. So I'm going
Yeah,
to be doing some internet searching here in a minute.
Yep, yeah, yeah. She does have a few Italian graphic novels out there that she has worked on that are also phenomenal, and also her style. So yeah, they're all out there. If you just Google Chiara Raimondi, you'll find her work.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so we talked about the team. We talked about how you guys got to. Oh, we didn't talk about Marguerite with the interconnected covers. So, I've seen all the alternate covers for the first couple issues and stuff, and they are fantastic. So, what is Marguerite bringing with those interconnected covers? Like, what drew you to bring her in on this?
Yeah, so Marguerite really was huge. We knew we hit the jackpot with Kiara, but also this being Kiara's first American comic book, David's first comic book, and for sure, I've been an indie comics guy for 10 years, so this is my biggest release. We knew we needed a name to help us roll out to get comic stores and LCSs and interested. So David just emailed Marguerite on a whim with our first issue, and she read it and she loved it, and she said she was in, and it was like jackpot number two, like another extremely lucky moment. So at that point, in my opinion, Marguerite is one of the best cover artists right now. Her just everything from her compositions to her, her character to her design to her color, she's great. But she told us, she's like, I will do what you guys want. So, let us know, what you have in mind. And we knew with our A covers that Chiara and I do together, they were going to be very bright, very vibrant, and they were going to feature a different character on each cover. Issue one is both our three leads. It's the Cabinet, Trent, and Uvney. So with Marguerite, we knew we wanted to keep it with a character on each cover. And we figured the one note we, would give her is like, maybe these covers can be darker. Kara and I's covers are going to be neon bright, very 90s. Like
Mhm.
maybe making these a little bit darker, in tone and in value and colors, it's going to be like a nice, like 1-2 punch on the shelf. So she's like, great. We picked a bunch of covers she had done, and referenced those, and like, this is great. And she's like, how about, like I put like a silhouette portrait of them in the background of each character, with a full body in the foreground. We're like, love it. And she's like, also, what if we do connecting covers? We're like, if you can do that, love it. It's great. And then, yeah, she really took the lead from there. So really the only input we gave her was we like, a character on each cover, and we like it to tonally be darker. And
Mhm.
she came up with everything else. And I mean, like, we didn't give a single note. She's like, what do you guys think? And we're like, just hit print. It's so good. Like even on her first sketch, her first like rough thumbnail, we're like, yeah, just hit print. That's perfect. So
Don't even need to
she
color it, just
she
take the pencils.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She has been, just also incredible to work with. Such a kind and positive artist, too. She's been great.
Mm.
So we're very lucky
Right.
to have her as well.
That's awesome. So yeah, with as complicated as all these different concepts are, I found it very easy to read. The art, directs you where you're supposed to go, and the script makes sense, and it's not overly explained because there's parts of it where you're like, "What in the hell just happened?" And then later you figure
Yeah,
out what happened, but it's not like all the little boxes and the word salad on the page where it's like, and then this and this and this. And, it's like,
yeah,
let me figure it out as they're figuring it out. And the art really brings that in, and the writing is, when to let your artist take over and tell the story, and that's fantastic. I think you touched on that just for a moment there. So, um, I
great.
think I think we're getting the high sign here. So, just in closing, is there anything else you want us to know? Do you have any appearances that are coming up?
Correct. Yeah. So if you're in the Los Angeles, SoCal area, the cabinet releases on Valentine's Day. And I will be at Golden Apple Comics in Hollywood signing on release day. And then on Saturday, I will be at Pulp Fiction, which is the 17th. I'll be at Pulp Fiction in Culver City also signing issue one. We'll have all the variants there, we'll have some other goodies. It'll be a blast. David's going to be doing some signings in Western upstate New York. If you're in that area, he'll be around there. And then David and I will both be at the Emerald City Comic Con and at WonderCon here in SoCal. So we'll have a panel at WonderCon. We'll do some signings there too. We should have 3 issues out by then. So come say hi. You'll see us if we're not at a table or we're not at a panel. You can find us in old long boxes filling out our collections, because we are creators, but we at the end of the day we are both mega fans. So we always, cons are the best.
Nice, fantastic. Okay, well, I'm Brendan Allen. This was Jordan Hart. We're talking about the Cabinet from Image Comics. It's a 5-issue miniseries. It is wild. It's got a puzzle TARDIS in it. That's all you need to know. It drops on Valentine's Day. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.